What's up everyone, my name is Biku and I am here with a little bit of a Fusion 360 beginner intro tutorial walkthrough thing. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit annoyed because this is the second time I'm recording this because the first time I fucked up on the capture and it recorded in 480 by 320 for some reason. But since I think you don't really want that, I will redo it for you. Anyway, so this is Fusion 360. I, like a lot of people, have been using 123D Design for a little while, and that was really how I started or got my first little sort of baby steps into CAD modeling. But since that is Fusion or 123D Design is sort of dying outside the window right now, I, like a lot of people, have started trying to use Fusion 360. And so far I'm really liking it. But there were a lot of things when I first sort of started testing the waters that I wish was a little bit more publicly known and which actually didn't really isn't really well known unless you go digging for it. Unlike 123D Design, where it was heavily based around you drag in a box and you can't even really do it as quickly as you could there, but you drag in a box and then you go, okay, I'll take a cylinder and I'll pop it on here and I'll delete it. Fusion 360 really isn't what it's really meant for. But Fusion 360 is really a much more powerful tool. Especially because I mainly started using it because of the built-in cam, where you can actually do toolpaths for CNC machining, which I have a CNC milling machine, which is very useful since this is a free software. Well, free, quote unquote, you can't really see my hands right now, but it is free if you are a student or hobbyist slash enthusiast, and if you're using it for your business, you make under $100,000 a year. But it is essentially free, and it offers amazing power for what it is. And I would say before I get into actually walkthrough of some basic elements of it, if you can't make use of the cam, then I would say still try it, it's very good, but also look at Onshape. Onshape is another free CAD modeling program, but it's web-based, and it is free with the, not so much drawback, but with the everything that you make is publicly accessible. So nothing you make is anyone who knows about it can have access to it. Sort of like how on YouTube, if you set the link, or if you set your video as unlisted, if someone has the link, they can still watch the video. That's kind of how Onshape works, unless you buy their full subscription. So I'd say try that as well as this. I personally like Fusion. I haven't tried Onshape yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Anyway, let's get into Fusion 360. So as I was saying, unlike 123D Design, which was sort of based around taking in a block or a cylinder or a triangle or whatever and then sort of cutting away from it to get what you want, that's a very destructive way of working. Whereas Fusion 360 is a full parametric modeling program. Now, what does parametric modeling mean? So parametric modeling basically means if you create a sketch, say you want to draw a box. Well, that's a square. And so say stop sketch, and I'll get into how things work a little bit more just now. So there you have a square-ish shape, and you want to extrude it, and there you have a box. There you have a box. But now you see down here, this is your timeline. This is where everything that you do, or every feature that you make, comes up in order. So you have this box. But now say you wanted to change the dimensions of the box. Now in 123D Design, what you'd have to do is either scale it up, which can work but won't always, or you would have to sort of measure and then extrude accordingly. But since this is parametric, what we can do is we go back to that point in the timeline and edit. If you right click, and there'll be a little edit button here that says edit. Now we want to change these dimensions. So if you go to sketch and sketch dimensions, and then click on 2 points, so it's 60 millimeters, so you want to make it 80 millimeters. Click 80, it's now 80 millimeters. And now sketch dimensions, and say we want to make it 80 millimeters by 20 millimeters. So there we have an 80 millimeter by 20 millimeter cube. And if we click stop sketch and we go back to the front of our timeline, oh, look at that. Our box has changed to those dimensions. And then say we want to edit that extrude, and we want to make it 80 by 20 by 30. And now you have your box. And that is the basics of parametric modeling, meaning you can go back to your timeline, change features. You can't add something new. You can only edit. Already existing features, but you can change them, and it will reflect in everything after that, which is the power of parametric modeling. So if we make a new design, and okay, so say we want to make a gift box, or just a box in general. How would you do that? Well, if we go sketch, create sketch on that plane, and don't worry about which plane you select, really, it doesn't really matter, since how they've got it now, Z is where X should be and X is where Y should be. It's all about, don't worry about which plane you select, just sort of do it on any one you want. But now we have our plane where we can sketch something, and this is the sketch part of it, and everything here only works when you're sketching. So we want to sketch a box, say we want a 2-point rectangle. Basically, how a 2-point rectangle works is you click a point, and you click another point, and you have a rectangle. But now, say we want to make that a specific dimension. We could have done it while we were making it. You can see, type in 26, tab, 26, enter, and now we have that. But that's something I do kind of wish they would get better at, is deleting. But anyway, so what I did there was just select everything and then click delete, because I don't like using my mouse if I don't have to. It's much quicker to use keyboard shortcuts, and that's something I would really recommend. Is I'm showing you everything, like clicking on it, but a couple shortcuts are really worth memorizing. Circle, center point circle, it's just C on your keyboard. Dimension, what I'm going to use now is this tool, is D on your keyboard. E is extrude. Just remember those, and it'll make your life a lot easier than having to click and look. But we want to go dimension, and let's say we want to make it 60. We want to make it 60 millimeters long, and then I'm just using my keyboard for now. And then we want to make that 60 millimeters as well. So now we've got that. Great. So if we go stop sketch, we click on the face, and if we want to go create and extrude, there you see where it's got extrude, next to it it's got E. That basically means you click E, it'll activate that. But we've got extrude, and we'll make it 60 millimeters. Just arbitrary numbers, but yeah. So there we have a 60 millimeter by 60 millimeter by 60 millimeter cube. But we wanted a box, you might be asking. How do we do that? Well, if we go to modify and shell, and we click on the top face, and let's say we want a 2 millimeter diameter. The inside wall thickness is basically how thick the wall must be. So there we go. Now we've got a box with 2mm walls all the way around it. But now we want a lid for this box. How would we do that? How would we do that? What we would do is we would go create sketch, click on the lip of the box, and now we are sketching on that. Then what we can do is say, because we are in perspective mode, it's seeing these as sketches, but what we want to do is we want to create a sketch. Because we don't want it to join to the current sketch, what we can do is just go 2-point rectangle and draw rectangles. This really isn't the best way to do it, but I'm just sort of showing you how to do it. There are more professional ways to do these things. But you see, as you get closer to it, it'll snap to that point. And then we can go there and there. And now we have the sort of outline of what the lid must be. We can go to bodies, and this is where, over here is where everything is. So this is where you can turn on and off sketches and bodies. So we click the little light bulb, and there's something to remember. This light bulb will, if it's off, it'll turn off all bodies, but if that's on and only one body's off, all other bodies will still be there. So turn off that, and now we want to select both of these, and you do that by clicking one, holding down Control, clicking the other, and we want to extrude it up. Let's go 2 millimeters. That's nice. Then we turn around, turn back on our sketch, and now we want to extrude the actual locking part of the lid. So if we click E for extrude, and because now we want to go down, it will be negative 2 millimeters. And there you go, just turn back to perspective, and now we have our lid. And now if we turn back on the other body, you see the lid is on. And if we go modify, move, you can see it fits perfectly because everything is to perfect size. But there's something to remember. If you are actually making something to be 3D printed, for example, you're going to want to have to model in your tolerances, which I'm not going to get into that right now, but you're going to want to model in your tolerances so that everything fits together nicely, because as is, these are, if I go turn off body 2, you can see it is to size. It is the exact same size, but you're going to have to make something smaller or bigger if you're 3D printing something. Just keep that in mind. So that is really the basics of how to use Fusion 360. But I can't really tell you how to do everything because there is so much that you can do with the software. But I really just want to sort of get you up and running. A couple other things that you might be thinking if you have downloaded the software and are wondering this is called orbiting, when you can move all the way around. How you do that, and for some reason this is something that I couldn't find out how to do until I actually looked up the shortcuts for Fusion. How you do this is, so when you do this, this is just panning. It'll only move things in 2 dimensions. But if you hold down the Shift key on your keyboard, and then, how you do that is you hold down the middle mouse button or scroll wheel, then to orbit, you hold down Shift and middle mouse button. Or you can sort of drag on this, but I don't find that as intuitive. So I find it easier to sort of drag with the mouse, with the keyboard mouse. You could also go to click on orbit, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to change between everything. It's easier if you use your keyboard shortcuts. It really is quicker. I would really recommend getting into the habit of doing that. Just the basic ones like extrude and dimensions and circle. Those are really, and fillets. So if you want to use a fillet is F, and what fillet means, and no, I'm not talking about the fillet of a chicken or fillet of a fish. If you click on lines, I'm just holding down Control to select multiples. Hold down line, and then, and because it's a box, there's a little bit of an error there going on, but just ignore that. And now you see there's a nice corner radius, as opposed to a chamfer where it is a hard corner radius. And that's another little thing that you might be looking for. So basically everything under sketching, again, if you want, it pertains to sketching. Create is creating a solid, and then modify is modifying a solid. That's pretty simple. I'm not going to go into assemblies because I still haven't quite learned how to do that properly, but this really is the basics of how Fusion 360 works. So I hope this has sort of helped you test the waters and see if it'll work for what you need to do. It really is a great piece of software. It is kind of daunting when you first look at it to see how things work, but again, I would say if you can't really make use of the CAM side of the software, I would say also try Onshape, see if that works better for you. As far as I know, they're pretty similar, and like I said, it's also free, but not so many strings attached. Not that there is really any strings attached, it's just it's not free forever with Fusion, whereas with Onshape it's free to do whatever you want, just all your files are made public. So if you can't make use of the CAM, try Onshape, try Fusion, see which one you like better. Maybe you will use the CAM in the future, I don't know. So I would say that's really the basics of how everything works. And then just sort of think of a project and try and make it, just to get sort of used to how things work and how to do something. But I would say that's it for this video, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will probably do another video soon going over the CAM side of the software, which really is what pushed me over the top to using this software. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.